So this presentation will actually talk about the usage of WinRadius server to do this 802.1x authentication. So what I did is I have downloaded the package from the NetScout 2000 website, and that is installed in products, Avalanche, Technology, NAC, and WinRadius. So that particular application, once you download it, you just have to extract it to a particular folder. That creates a couple of a user guide and some exe files. So let's first go through the user guide that I have prepared. So here it is. So this one, yeah, I mean you would obviously need WinRadius, and this is free of cost if used for 5 users or less. So anything more than 5, then you might have to buy it, purchase it, and yeah, as mentioned here, 5 simultaneous users. That should be sufficient, as I think, for a startup demo at a customer location, and then probably use his test bed later when you want to do high scale testing. So, and as of today, actually this is not the file. Let's open a different one, the one that says final. Okay, so here it is. So it supports 5 users, and then it also supports only PAP, CHAP, MS CHAP version 1, MS CHAP version 2, EAP MD5, and .1x obviously. And then yeah, ensure that you always set the default the NAS secret on the switch and on the WinRadius server to be same, and the authentication port by default is 1813. Sometimes it so happens that you don't set the port properly on the switch configurations, and packets don't come up. Okay, and this document also explains how is this connection done. So the idea is I'll be having the management console to the Avalanche generating .1x clients. This port is getting authenticated, and with username password, the WinRadius server is running on a separate computer, and after the authentication happens, I send out a DHCP request. After I get an IP address, I send out a HTTP request, get that, and then you send a DHCP release. So I have a couple of times faced IX Authenticate at Cisco, and the good thing, one probably the strong feature that we have is registering, authenticating, and then sending a DHCP request, HTTP traffic, and then log off, which I don't think IXIA can do it. I have not seen them working. So we have tried a couple of times with IXIA, and then it didn't work. That was with the 3.30 IX load release. Okay, so going further, after this WinRadius setup, you might have to set up the configurations on the switch. For the basic configuration, you just have to, I'm using a 2950 switch here in my case, as mentioned here, and these are the commands that I actually indicate on the switch. So enable it, fast Ethernet port, AAA authentication, and then .1x auto. Now auto control means depending on when the client start negotiating, the client, whenever the switch senses there is a EPOL, there is a transition happening from the state of switch off to getting back to the transition on the switch, that means auto. And then you go further down, we have these configurations for the switch to radius server communication. So the main thing is you just have to indicate to the switch that what is the IP address or the host name of the radius server, and then on what particular port is the radius server listening upon, the port number for the authentication, and also the key radius, the string, the NAS secret, so which should actually, as I mentioned, should match. Okay, so let's get back to this configuration on the WinRadius. So once you extract the file, double click on the file called winradius.exe. This opens up and loads by default. So I already have a couple of users loaded. It says 2 users loaded, so it supports a max of 5 users. And if you can notice here, it shows the authentication port is 1812, accounting port is 1813, secret is WinRadius. So you can also look at these settings. So the basic thing, the first time when you start the WinRadius, the thing that you have to do is go to settings, go to system, and you can verify these parameters here. Auth port 1812, 1813, things like that. And you can also have to create the database of username password. So just go to database and then just say configure ODBC automatically. So this starts loading up the TB users file on the folder where you have WinRadius extracted, and yeah, all the further users created will be loaded on that particular database. Okay, so having said that, any major changes you might have to restart as indicated here. but we haven't done any changes. So let's do one thing. Let's add okay, that is one thing. Advanced settings. So this is for the clearing the sessions, billing, performance. Yes, it is good that if you just enable the performance, so it gets highlighted. Once you enable it here, when Avalanche starts pumping up traffic, you should be able to see the results here, indicating how many users and things like that. Okay, so to add users, just go to operation, click on add user, define username, define password, and a couple of other entries. Let's say cancel. Now once we do this, now there is on the extracted folder you have a package called Radius test. So this is to ensure that the Radius server is completely launched and is functioning properly. So let's minimize this and let's do a Radius test on the local host here on the particular port 1813. When Radius matches, test matches, password is fine. So let's give me a username that is Spirant, that's not existing already, and I just say send. It shows, it shows the amount of time it took for one particular circle to complete and a couple of things. And if you go to this Radius server, this should actually show you if it did receive anything on the authentication part. Okay, here we see it shows unknown username and session ID, octets, the IP address, the password, things like that, but it says that username authenticate failed. So maybe it's not existing. So let's do one thing. Let's go back and create this parent and the password as password. Clear all the sessions, add user, and this is parent, password as password. Okay, successfully added. Now let's go back to the Radius test. Information. Okay, now here you see authentication. Okay, that means the Radius server is configured properly and then it's working fine. Now you can also on a live demonstration at the customer side, you can also test what is the amount of load that you want to set the SIM users on the Avalanche. So what you can do is just set performance test here. So this automatically sends multiple username passwords and just tests to what extent can this Radius test perform. So just say performance test. You can see here that we are sending a couple of bytes and it shows the result as 29.97. That's close to 30 users per second. So if you configure the Avalanche SIM users, the load to be around 30 users per second, I think this particular server should handle it without any causing any unsuccessful transactions. And as you can see here, we saw that amount of users already mapped here. And the second time you see it once again and it shows 14 users now, depending on the processing speed and things like that. So that's the idea, and this is a very good test when you want to show it to the customer. You just have to have a small software downloaded and then it's pretty easy to set up. It doesn't take much time and Avalanche works excellent. So the video will also have, the next video will also have the testing on the Avalanche front. Thank you.